Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to NIGHTCAP for April 15th, 2021. Oh my goodness, we're here again, twice in a week. Well, considering that the other episode of NIGHTCAP for this week is kind of stuck over here on D Live. Didn't pass the sniff test for YouTube. Basically had to cut so much out of the episode. Would not have been worth posting. So we'll do another one tonight. Now, last time I was here, I said, maybe I'll talk about an Alex Jones documentary. I was going to do Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement. But I think I kind of want to hit up the Bohemian Grove one from back in the day. Now, this thing has been kind of completely scrubbed from YouTube for the most part. You can't find it in the search history, you know? What's up, Prophet? That's a heavy bag of chips. Turning off your Xbox. It's a hefty bag. Must be those thick cut tortilla chips. This thing's it's a dangerous weapon in the right hands. Yeah, but I figured just watch this. I don't know. Either that, or we could watch Blade Trinity together. Maybe that would be fun too. Getting ready for this weekend's Goes to the Movies. It was supposed to be about the first Blade movie, and now it's morphed into being about all of the Blade movies. So I've been nuts deep in Blade movies in my free time. Which, not to spoil anything, the first one's awesome. And then they just slowly get worse, one after another after that. But, we'll start with, we're going to start with this, but I want to kind of give some context for what does mainstream media say about Bohemian Grove before we watch Alex Jones' old documentary from the year 2000. Because it's kind of a meme. Alex Jones was right. It might be interesting to go back through some of his catalog, through some of his older pieces to see how much has in fact come true. I mean, there's lots of things. The human-animal hybrids, chimeras, the police states, the development into a more militarized thing. That's kind of what Endgame is about, if my memory serves me correct. It's kind of about that. It's about the burgeoning police state. And he started talking about this stuff kind of just post 9/11. The CIA program called PRISM, collecting all of your data, spying on you. They even worked with Microsoft. Speaking of Xbox, Prophet, they even worked with Microsoft. Like when they were developing the camera for the Xbox rather. That's part of the PRISM program, surprisingly enough. And also the second console, 360. So yeah, it'll be kind of interesting to see what some kind of normie news agencies have to say about it, and then we'll maybe check out what's going on with old AJ. So let's do it. Kind of digging the tunes though. I don't know, you guys probably can't hear it too well, but welcome to NIGHTCAP, as I have one. Slow running through my dreams. Woo! Boy, decided to try a new whiskey tonight. George Dickel Sour Mash whiskey. It is potent. This is 51.5 alcohol by volume, 103 proof. Ain't no joke. I'm gonna have to take it easy. I have to monitor myself. All right, let's see what. So we got right here from CNN. From when was this from? When did they post this? 2013. So this is kind of right before everybody, all of the mainstream media turned against Alex Jones. He kind of was a fixture. I know Alex Jones was on a few a few normie news programs back in the day as he was kind of gaining notoriety. But it would have been right around this time. It was like 2013, 2014. You know, the Sandy Hook thing happens. That gets dredged up years later. But people don't realize, like, how his coverage of Sandy Hook was a lot more wild than I think even most people think it was. I remember watching it back in the day. I remember, like, when it was all unfolding, when it was all happening, and they were talking about the false flags, and they were talking about the Dark Knight Rises being a precursor to a false flag because of some of the names on the maps of Gotham City. Like, there's a scene where they, like, flash a map, and one of the places that's circled in red is Sandy Hook. All sorts of weird stuff. It's called predictive programming, kids. That's what that indicates. So, let's get into it. Let's start out. Here we go. Our man over here, what's his name? Jake Tapper.
Welcome back to The Lead. I'm Jake Tapper. Now it's time for the buried lead. That's a story we do not think is getting enough play. When you think of secret societies, you think of groups of rich old men, like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons, sitting around a ridiculously long table, all trying to top each other with their best diabolical laugh. It makes for a fun cartoon, but in reality, such societies and secretive meetings do exist, and one is going on right now behind closed doors in England. The Bilderberg Group is a meeting of the most influential people.
Oh, this is for the Bilderberg Conference. That's not Bohemian Grove. What the fuck? All right, well, Bilderberg is kind of tangentially connected to Bohemian Grove. So let's see how they cover Bilderberg. This was one of Alex Jones's big bugaboos for years and years and years. He used to go to them and protest outside of them, and used to work with the dude trying to find the list of the people that were inside. So we'll see. We'll see what they say.
People in Europe and North America, Wall Street investors, business moguls, politicians, royalty, they're all coming together and keeping the media and everyone else out. What are they discussing? What are they plotting? Doesn't the public have a right to know? Well, apparently no. Though, what they chat about could very well end up impacting your 401k or who knows what else.
Security was tight today at the Grove Hotel in this leafy area north of London. 140 members of the global elite arrived here for a top-secret, hush-hush, off-the-record conference in the English countryside. How's this for a guest list? The head of the International Monetary Fund, former Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner, the heads of Amazon.com, Google, and BP Oil, former General and CIA Director David Petraeus, and what's a top-secret cabal of puppet masters without Henry Kissinger? All of them came here today for the Bilderberg Conference. That's Bilderberg, not Build-A-Bear. Participants are tight.
Good one, Tapper. Good one. That's Bilderberg, not Build-A-Bear. Awful. Hack shit. Same folks, different grove, Prophet says. Yeah.
Lipped about discussions other than to say topics will range from the economy to jobs to U.S. foreign policy.
So, how could that be okay? Like, he just listed a few things that are kind of alarming that the most powerful group or the most powerful people in the world on the global scale get together and talk about those kinds of things in secret. Like, that's just creepy. It's just ominous. Seems like very American, anti-transparency in terms of, like, our right to know what our leaders are doing about our own fate. These people don't give a fuck about you. And I'm curious, this is a pretty short piece, but I wonder if they're going to provide cover or if they're just going to throw their hands up and be like, well, that's just the way it is. Nothing we can do.
Organizers call megatrends and the major issues facing the world. Reporters and outsiders are not allowed in, and everything is off the record. Organizers say that so participants can take time to listen, reflect, and gather insights. Protesters from around the globe have descended upon the venue, objecting to the secret nature of the meetings, which have been going on behind closed doors among European and North American elites since 1954. Protester Daniel Kirby explains.
It's just a gathering of people who are concerned that our elected politicians who promise transparency are meeting in secret with the heads of top banks, pharmaceutical companies, weapons companies, you name it, European royalty are in there, sort of thing. It's just incredible that they can say one thing and do the other.
Now, if you're thinking this is just another cabal of the people who secretly run the world, so does noted author, provocateur, and conspiracy theorist.
There's our boy. There he is. Big moment for him. Big moment for him.
Alex Jones from InfoWars.
Magna Carta has been restricted for the scum globalists that are in there.
Jones is broadcasting live from the conference this week.
They want you dead, Governor.
Why? They're out to kill me.
Some pretty
Why?
nutty conspiracy theories about the group abound. They're hiding the cure for cancer, for example. But just because Bigfoot believers who are often offensively wrong are on the case here does not mean there isn't reason for the rest of us to be wary as these masters of the universe confab away from cameras. The conference wraps up on Sunday, and organizers say there will be no resolutions or votes and no policy statements.
I think it would be very nice.
That's my brother Dan. Check him out. My brother Dan, he is this guy. He's the guitar guy. You go to parties, protests. He definitely rocks the guitar.
I think it would be very naive to think that all of these people are going to turn up to a meeting unless it has some effect.
Gerard Batten is a member of the European Parliament for London.
I'm sure that they are actually reaching decisions about which way public policy should be going in the countries that are represented, and of course in the European Union.
We'll have to wait and see if any of the attendees choose to speak about what happened at the conference. Let me also say it appears my invitation was lost in the mail, an oversight that we here at The Lead hope will be corrected next year. Of course, you can share your conspiracy theories about the event with me on Twitter.
Like, it's not even a conspiracy or a conspiracy theory. It's just like you laid it out. You know? The guy just laid it out. He's like, these are the kinds of things they discuss. This is what they openly admit to. Come on. It's gaslighting to call it a conspiracy theory. Are there some kooky people down there? Probably. Not Alex Jones, of course, but, like the guitar guy, for instance. Prof says, is Dan ever going to admit to being a socialist on stream? No, he's not. I'd be very surprised. That would be the greatest arc ever on Zoobox, is if Dan ends up being like an avowed communist. It would actually be good. It would be that would be hilarious. But yeah, so let's see what we got. What else we got going on here? So I thought that was going to be about that. Members of Ivy League's secret society speak out. Let's see, if we just look up Bohemian Grove, most of the stuff is not here anymore. That's the thing. They just completely got rid of all this shit. Yeah, it's like nothing. Bilderberg, hiking trails. Well, there is the one from the History Channel. That's pretty long, though. Okay, this one's from 2 years ago. Secret members of Bohemian Grove don't want to be revealed. I wonder why. Why not?
The Bohemian Club, which meets in Bohemian Grove in California, is an exclusive gathering of mostly rich white men with plenty of power. The members of this not-so-secret cabal run around the California woods annually, mostly drinking and goofing off. Here's what really happens at Bohemian Grove. One of the hard and fast rules of Bohemian Grove is weaving spiders come not here, which essentially means that no matter what, real-world deals aren't to be made at camp. There's one notable exception, and that happened in 1942. And even that's a sort of. The Bohemian Club owns Bohemian Grove, and the super-secret camping trip that happens every year only goes on for a handful of days. For the rest of the year, any members of the club can use the grounds for whatever they want. And according to Skeptoid, Bohemian Club member Dr. Edward Teller reserved the camp in September 1942. Teller would go on to be forever known as the father of the hydrogen bomb, and the groundwork for the Manhattan Project was laid there. But here's the thing. Teller was the only member of the Bohemian Club there, so it can't really be said that club members were out there planning world domination. Were they? In 1989,
Like, what the fuck do they think these people get together and talk about? Like, it's not crazy. I mean, like, when you get together with a bunch of buddies or peers or people that you work with, you're in the similar industries and stuff like that, where does your conversations gravitate towards? Your work. What you do. Like, they're not supernatural or abnormal in the sense that, like, no, dude, this is just when they like to cut loose, fuck male porn stars, you know, let their hair down.
Spy magazine writer Philip Weiss snuck into Bohemian Grove and described the annual lowbrow theatrical production known as the Low Jinks like this. The humor was not just lame, but circa 1950s college follies lame.
Yeah, because it's a ritual, dude. It's not like a... They're not there for production. It's something they get off on. It's a tradition. The cremation of care. Like, you could say, does it look stupid or cheesy? And I guess when we watch the Alex Jones one, we'll see for ourselves. But it's creepy as fuck. It's just creepy that men would go out in the woods and burn an effigy, make a mock sacrifice of a child to an owl god. Moloch. Come on.
Those who have gotten an inside peek into Bohemian Grove say the theatrical productions are a huge deal, and the one-time production Weiss was talking about was not only filled with the type of humor an 11-year-old might find hilarious, but it also cost a whopping $75,000. That's just one of the plays the members staged for each other. There's also a more serious production called the Hijinks, or more formally, the Grove Play. Over the years, they've staged performances of St. Patrick at Tara, recited hundreds of poems, tackled subjects like the triumph of Christianity over Druidic paganism, and Jack London even wrote an original piece for the Hijinks, which was never staged. Costs go up well over $100,000 per performance, and it must be nice to have that kind of cash. Every annual meeting in Bohemian Grove has since 1880 kicked off with a ceremony called the Cremation of Care. The ceremony starts with a parade of men dressed in red hooded robes, some carrying torches, and some carrying a wooden coffin with a wooden skeleton named Care. The procession winds through camp until they make their way to the side of a lake watched over by a massive cement owl. And as spectators gather, the men playing the priests extinguish the torches. They sing a song, and a priest tells members, "Shake off your sorrows with the city's dust, and scattered to the winds the cares of life." The funeral pyre is lit, the dull cares of the world are gone, and attendees head back to camp to embark on a week of merrymaking. In 1986...
Of merrymaking. A week of merrymaking. Nah, guys, this is not weird at all. Not weird at all.
The club attempted to argue, quote, that male gender is a bona fide occupational qualification. Much like Hooters argued that being a female with a certain body type was a job requirement for being a server there. The Bohemian Club was less successful than the restaurant chain when it came to their lawsuits, and they were forced to open hiring practices to female employees. Of course, there's a but. Jobs for women were restricted to the dining circle and valet parking, which former Summertime employee Sophie Wieners...
This is an awful video. It's obnoxious music.
The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther.
Vanity Fair got a copy of the official itinerary for 2008.
No. 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 We're just going to go for the real thing. We're just going to get into the real thing. I was hoping there'd be like some broader context. Not really. It's just like, no, these are silly things. Actually, a fun fact. Was it Michael McKean and Harry Shearer? Michael McKean, Harry Shearer, they're kind of part of, like a comedy collective. They're in all those the Christopher Guest movies, if you're familiar with those. They're in all of those movies. They actually made like a joke, mockumentary style, Christopher Guest style movie about Bohemian Grove. I should try to find a trailer or something. So we'll watch this a little bit. Maybe we'll jump back and forth between some stuff. We'll see what Alex says. Maybe we can look some other stuff up in the interim. He had a flair even back in the day. Flair for the dramatic. Just normal dudes just hanging out. Just having a good time. You know, honestly, like, I know Alex Jones, you know, he did a ton of documentaries up until like 2010. It's kind of when he stops doing them. But I would love to see like a movie, an actual like fiction feature-length movie written and directed by Alex Jones. I know he wouldn't be able to help himself. He would have to probably also star in it, which honestly I'd be okay with. And it has to involve things like shadow governments, secret societies. I think he could do it. The woods. What are in them? Oh, that glorious 260p.
Hello, I'm Alex Jones, and I'm a radio and television host based in Austin, Texas. And for many years, I've been exposing the criminal activities of the global elite, also known as the New World Order. In past films, we've documented the centralization of power, the move towards world government, the attack on the nation state, self-defense, the Second Amendment, family values, that is, the family itself, as well as private property rights. But time and time again in my research, I come, well, eye to eye with something that's even hard for me to believe. And that's that the elite, again, the so-called establishment kings, those that know best, the visions of the anointed ones, are obsessed with the occult, from presidents to governors to the heads of industry. We've all seen the stories of presidents and first ladies obsessed with their astrologers making national policy decisions upon their recommendations.
Which these things are all true. And it's weird because now we live in a world where this has been this kind of behavior, these ideas, secret societies and colleges and stuff, people have been gaslit. They've been underplayed to the point where everybody just kind of accepts it. They're like, nah, that's just what rich people do, you know? They're into goofy stuff. Was it like Hillary Clinton having seances at the White House? Things like that. Like, and those things have kind of been confirmed. Like, they just kind of come out and admit them now. And nobody's bats an eyelash. Nobody's just like, no, that's strange. I don't get it. It should always have been creepy.
Spiritual guides, shamans in the White House. My friends, it gets far worse than that. Now, I personally am a Christian, but even an atheist should be concerned about the information we're about to bring forward in this new documentary film, The Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove. You see, for over 120 plus years in Northern California, in Sonoma County, on a 2,700-acre secluded redwood grove, leaders from around the world, prime ministers, chancellors, presidents, governors, again, the heads of industry, banking, academia, the media, Hollywood, only a select few, a little over 2,000 people, travel there to engage in bizarre, ancient Canaanite, Luciferian, Babylon mystery religion ceremonies. At least that was the rumors. And so I went to the library and got on the internet and saw many of the mainstream news articles admitting that world leaders do indeed go there, and they fly into San Francisco and other surrounding cities and drive out into the rural hills and mountains of Northern California, and that these stories have been coming out that they worship some 45-foot stone owl god. And then I began to read some of the documentation on this Moloch character of the Old Testament, mentioned many times in Leviticus. That's in the Bible. Why are world leaders traveling to the middle of nowhere to worship this thing? Well, I had to check it out for myself. And I'm proud of my team. Mike Hansen, Violet Nichols.
Proud.
They traveled with me there. We talked to some of the locals discreetly. We successfully infiltrated, with the help of some of the locals and Channel 4, World of Wonder, British television that teamed up with us. And I successfully infiltrated through the Secret Service, through the guards, through the Sonoma County Sheriff's Department. We were inside 4 hours. That's only 1 day out of the 2 weeks that they meet there for the admitted Summer Fire Festival of the Bohemian Club. Well, basically, that's enough for me. It's hard to even describe it with words, and I hope that our hidden cameras can give you at least a small piece of what I witnessed. To have world leaders engaging in this type of sickening behavior. Oh, yes, there's much more to come. Mock human sacrifices, they claim, just shocks the very foundations of what Americans believe their leaders to be. And then to have it intimately connected with world government. It doesn't make a lot of sense until you research history. All throughout history,
Yes, that was from Freddy Got Fingered. Secretly one of the funniest movies ever made, Prophet.
Spanning back into the mist of the beginnings of civilization, we see world leaders from the empires of old, from the Aztec kings and priests, to Babylonian leaders, to ancient Rome, engaging in twisted behavior. Could it be that when you have all the power and all the women and all the money and all the lands and all the art, you have to do something new? You have to go against the basic grain of humanity. You have to get off in a sick way. That's what we witnessed in Northern California.
This is the only way I can come. I have to go to the cremation to care every year. Fuck male prostitutes. It's the only way. It's all I have. It's all I have. Get off my back, Alex. You know, it's funny. It's a little personal anecdote before we continue. I stumbled on this, it must have been 2003. Maybe 2004. And it was on YouTube because I've always had an interest in the occult and esoteric stuff. Not because to believe in it or anything like that, but I've always found it fascinating. I grew up kind of really hardcore Catholic for a lot of my life. So you're always kind of curious about what the other side is all about, right? And I stumbled upon this. I remember it was 2:30 in the morning. I had to be up at 6, and I was just glued to the screen. I was 18, 19 years old. Creep the fuck out of me. This is actually, I think, my introduction to Alex Jones. It might have been. It might have been my introduction to him.
July 15th, 2000. Get ready to go inside the Bohemian Grove. The Bohemian Club, as it's known today, was founded in 1873 in San Francisco in Northern California. Many of the club's original annals, dating back to before the turn of the century, admit that local artists, writers, newspapermen, you name it, wanted a place away from the so-called backwardsness of the West Coast, the Judeo-Christian ethic. They found that place an hour and a half north of San Francisco, outside of the tiny town of Monterrey. Their annals even admit an obsession with the occult and what they called druid rituals. Amongst the great redwood trees, they revived ancient ceremonies that in truth had their roots not in the Druids, but in Babylon itself. As the railroads brought commerce and larger populations, the prestige of the club grew until, in the year 2000, it is a gathering place for the world establishment, the elite. We're about to show you some of the key evidence documenting this. It is absolutely central to understand that these bizarre activities have been engaged in going back to 1873 and are not some new fanciful whim of the trendies on the West Coast. By the turn of the century, there was already a 10 to 15-year waiting list. Presidents from Howard Taft to Herbert Hoover were on the membership roster. Not to mention, later, famous war general Dwight D. Eisenhower, later to become president. The roster of the Bohemian Club reads like a who's who of the elite. Look at this photo taken inside the Grove back in 1963. There you'll see Ronald Reagan, and sitting 2 people over from him, later to become president, Richard Milhouse Nixon. Frankly, we don't know.
And they say this about Bohemian Grove. They also say this about the Bilderberg Group, is that generally whoever ends up being elected president goes to Bilderberg or Bohemian Grove within like 4 years of their like kind of political aspirations. Barack Obama went. Arnold Schwarzenegger went. Actually, well, he didn't go to. He might have gone to Bohemian Grove, but I know that he went to the Bilderberg Group one year. Somebody got a hold of like the guest list or something. Can't remember when it was, but it was a few years before he ran for governor. So that's interesting.
Of these men actively enjoy the things that go on inside the Bohemian Club. But one thing is perfectly certain from the evidence. They are forced to go and attend and take part in these activities if they wish to be elevated to the highest levels of the geopolitical power structure. Take George Bush Sr., documented member. And then, of course, there's his son. Now, the last 4 generations of Bushes have also attended the Skull and Bones Society at Yale, well known to be steeped in the occult. Then there's Bill Clinton, a frequent attendee. Upon closer inspection,
it's like the weirdest thing about Alex Jones, like how his like career and persona has morphed. Like back in the day when you got into Alex Jones, he was just like anti-establishment. He went after everybody. Didn't matter if you were Republican, Democrat, conservative, progressive. He didn't care. If you were part of what he considered to be the power structure, you were an enemy. And he did a lot of good work, you know. People talk shit, but a lot of insightful things over the years, Alex Jones. And, you know, it's packaged in his egocentric kind of like madness, his mania. But, hey, man, he was putting that stuff. He's putting a lot of things out there that people are now only just now having an awareness of. And he was doing this stuff in the early 2000s.
The entire federal government at the highest levels is infested with Bohemian Club members. And it doesn't stop there. America's private run-for-profit Federal Reserve Bank, from its very inception in 1913, has been run by prominent members of the Bohemian Club. Central Bank Chairman Alan Greenspan was seen leaving the Bohemian Grove only 1 month before he was appointed chairman of the Federal Reserve. He had to be a made man to be a member of the most powerful cabal.
I've also heard, I don't know if Alex gets into this, that Bohemian Grove, and the reason why like people that will eventually become part of, you know, the government or a CEO of a company or something, like they go there like a few years before, is because it's kind of like a way to get like compromise you, get you doing something kind of, I don't know, bad, for lack of a better way to put it, get you on camera like having gay sex, or maybe like fucking an underage girl or something like that. They seems like it's part of the process, which is interesting because this is kind of like the adult version of the things that a lot of these guys go through when they're in college, like, you know, like Skull and Bones, for example, right? There's a whole thing, like when you join Skull of Bones, you have to go through like this shaming process where you have to do something like really kind of disgusting in front of your peers, and they all know. It's like a bonding thing because you all have the secret that ties you all together. And I think, like, you know, Bohemian Grove seems like it's kind of the adult version of that because it's kind of like a frat party to a certain degree. So it kind of works in the same way that, like, you know, Jeffrey Epstein, it kind of seems like maybe like what his part to play and everything was. Like that was like he's kind of a modern incarnation of that from a different kind of perspective. Some say a different government, maybe. You know, we'll probably never know for sure. We'll never find out, but it seems like that's kind of what the deal is, honestly.
All on the planet. Historical records are clear from major universities. The Manhattan Project was planned and instituted and run from the Bohemian Club. All of this going on in an atmosphere of bizarre revelry. You're looking at an illustration from a November 1989 issue of Spy magazine. Spy goes undercover with Henry Kissinger, Merv Griffin, and William F. Buckley Jr. The story was clearly a shill, meant to misdirect the intensifying media coverage that the Grove was getting in the late 1980s. The writer's spin is obvious. They're just masters of the universe, big frat boys blowing off steam. We'll get back to this article later. Because you can clearly see that the mantra in the spin story has been picked up as a front by all the local media. Sure, they're elitist. Sure, they have some bizarre rituals. But what's the big deal? They're just having fun.
And that's kind of the same tack they take nowadays. Even like we watched that video of Jake Tapper talking about the Bilderberg Group from 2013. It completely uninformative as well. And then it's just, he kind of just shrugs his shoulders. There's just no actual concern. It's like I said, it's like gaslighting. It's like out there just to like quell your fears. They kind of expose it. They talk to a quirky dude. They say, hey, Alex Jones is there. Like, should you really care? Should you really take this seriously? This is just how these things kind of work, you know?
If that was the case, why would David Gergen, presidential advisor to President Clinton, resign from the Bohemian Club and 17 other organizations when it was revealed in 1993? Organizations like the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderberg Group. But it's not just the Washington Times and the Sacramento Bee. You're looking at an illustration from the pages of Parade magazine, February 22nd, 1981. This story was the most accurate and revealing, detailing the so-called mock human sacrifice. Former German Chancellor Helmut Schmidt wrote extensively in his memoirs, Men and Powers, a Political Retrospective, goes into great detail about the secret establishment running the world. The Trilateral Commission, the CFR, the Bilderberg Group, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, the Bohemian Grove, a place that he often talked about being a wonderful hideaway, a place to spend time with Nelson and David Rockefeller, and to talk about world government and steering societies. On page 225 of Men and Powers, he talks about it being one of the most astounding places he had ever visited in the United States, and how that feeling intensified over the years with subsequent visits. The book goes on for page after page discussing the corporate, private, governmental infrastructure of world government. Going back to the Spy magazine spin piece, they have lots of rosy illustrations of drunken establishment types dancing around having fun with the rituals going on in the background. They even admit that they wear bizarre Ku Klux Klan style robes. And there's even a photo released by them.
That's the Alex Jones touch, though. He's just like, that's the editorialization. He's like, looks like Ku Klux Klan stuff. It kind of just looks like, you know, honestly, even worse. Although, I suppose, on a long enough timeline, you go back far enough, maybe the Ku Klux Klan's robes are inspired by some of these kind of like ancient occult garb.
The grove of the ritual being engaged in. They talk about the incredible security surrounding the grove. And they even admit that a corpse, a sacrifice, is born across the lake. But it's all in good
Well, yeah,
fun.
you got to do
We
it.
did massive research on the occult. And one of the libraries we visited
Alex Jones acting like he doesn't want the ceremony to work, the ritual to work. Bad form, Alex.
was that of Professor Tex Mars of Aeronautics. He also has written literally dozens of books on the occult. His library was very revealing about the obsession of elitists throughout history with the occult.
Front group after front group to conceal and really subvert. But behind all of these groups, there is a small cadre or elite, a core. And what you have done, I think, with the Bohemian Grove is you have exposed one of the premier organizations of the whole New World Order arrangement, you might say. Of course, we can go back in history, all the way back to ancient Egypt, Babylon, or Greece, Rome. And I think you're going to see sort of the roots of the Bohemian Grove, but particularly in the Illuminati era, originating during the French Revolutionary days. You know, there we had the actual order of the Illuminati, with Adam Weishaupt and all of his evil philosophers, let's just call them, Voltaire and the others. And that has come up all the way to today. Hitler, of course, was a Bohemian. I think it's more Babylon mystery religion. All of the elements are there. Of course, even the owl is a symbol of ancient mystery Babylon. The owl was worshipped by the ancient Egyptians and by the Babylonians. And it's interesting to me that many of the members of the Bohemian Grove have in their homes, as I understand it, small figurines of owls. And I believe they actually worship those owls as a symbol of the deity, the great goddess of Babylon. And of course, here again, we have the counterfeit of Christ's sacrifice on the cross. I think all of those things, there had to be, in my belief, an occultist, a deep occultist, who designed each of the elements of this ceremony. It wasn't just a bunch of guys sit together at a bar and said, hey, let's have a good time, the cremation of care, and why don't we do this or that. I believe it was purposely designed, each element in its turn, for what they did. No doubt about it.
Little context for who we're listening to is Tex Mars was an American writer and radio host who ran two Christian ministries, Power of Prophecy Ministries and Bible Home Church, both based in Austin, Texas. His teachings include heavy elements of anti-Semitism, anti-Catholicism, Illuminati, and Freemasonry conspiracy theories. Well, this is from Wikipedia, America's most trusted, the globe's most trusted. You can't fucking, even though there's no accountability or whoever updates and writes these things, so it's probably not true. He was an officer in the United States Air Force for 20 years. Let's see here. Mars received coverage from the news media for his claims that the Oklahoma City bombing was planned and carried out by the American government. The terrorist Timothy McVeigh was framed. Nowadays, there's plenty of information out there that suggests that Timothy McVeigh was something of a Manchurian candidate. If you look back in terms of like what he was doing in college, being recruited or contacted by the CIA, maybe even in some of these weird programs where they were taking drugs and fucking with people's heads. That would be something to get into one night. Like watching a Christopher Nolan film. It's like Tenet. It's like the trailer for Tenet.
Slide the metal end into the buckle and
What I like about this, though, this is like the kind of videos I used to make with my friends when I was like a late teen, with like this kind of music and stuff. Made it on Windows Movie Maker.
by pulling on the loose end of the strap.
After landing in San Francisco at the International Airport, we traveled through the city, across the Golden Gate Bridge, into deeper Northern California. Northern California, home to the giant Sequoia redwoods. From there, north to Santa Rosa, going west on Highway 12, the gateway to Bohemian Grove. We spent the first night in Santa Rosa before getting up early in the morning and traveling into the town of Occidental, where we were going to meet the British media and start our investigation. Well, here we are in Northern California, right outside the Bohemian Grove. The fruits of nature. But I'll tell you this, I don't worship it and sacrifice things to it. Let's go find out what's going on.
It's so funny that he is always like, this is so much like, you know, when I thought about like going back and watching this, I just have these memories of him being like way more like kind of low key, and no, not at all. He's kind of not. Like, this is a much more kind of like presentation vibe, a little bit more serious and straightforward. But that right there, what we just saw, is primo Alex Jones. That's a real moment that was caught. I'm sure he saw that blackberry bush. He was like, yo, start on the blackberry thing, pull it off. Don't worry, I'm going to go. I'm just going to run with it. I can't even imagine. Years and years ago, dude, I wanted to so bad. I even thought about it. I was like, I want to go intern at InfoWars just to see what the operation was like. Because I can't even imagine what it's like to be like a crew member for InfoWars, especially like say back in like 2015 and partially like halfway through Trump's presidency, because it was constantly just like wild, crazy live streams and crazy videos that were shot on a cell phone of Alex Jones standing in a dark field at night with gloves on and no shirt, going like this. You've seen the meme, you've seen the picture.
Yeah. Well, here we are, folks. Turning on to the Bohemian Highway and Bohemian Grove. We're going to find out what in the New World Order is going on here. Thank you, Park. No, I tell you, it's beautiful out here during the day, but it is spooky at night. I don't know if you guys got some footage of it, and all the fog and the rest of it.
So are you excited?
Oh yeah.
I've got a map. You guys want to look at that?
My question is, what the history? What do they do if they catch you in there?
They have us killed.
I doubt that.
I don't know.
They throw darts at your skin while they hang upside down on a redwood tree.
I doubt that.
No, we'll see. No, I think they'll just
What about me? Because I'm a woman, I can't really sneak in, can I? I mean,
you can't go
I can.
You've got to stay.
I've got to.
See that you're hearing the voice of Kelly Jones, I believe her name is. Alex Jones's ex-wife. She's very integral to the operation for years. I used to be, at one time in my life, actually paid for a subscription to InfoWars, because back in the day, I think it was like 2010, 2011, like you couldn't get video. You couldn't watch the video streams if you weren't a member. That was behind a paywall. And I was having a problem with like my account, and so I sent them an email to their customer service, and I got an email from Kelly Jones trying to help me resolve the issue. What a princess.
Stay? I've got to stay behind in the spooky Occidental Lodge.
I have no problem. If there's a road, if I can be shown a way to insert myself into this with Hanson. But then I know where the cremation of care, what day they're supposed to do it, where this pond is.
Tomorrow night at dusk.
I'm not going to end up tied down on a pentagram with Henry Kissinger's fat belly hanging over while he's naked with a big dagger, am I?
You'd like it, though, wouldn't
I
you,
just want
buddy?
to make sure that's a joke.
Just the thought is very...
All right, Governor Bush running around in a pink tutu, foaming at the mouth with a purple wig on, am I? No.
Well, what's wrong with that, Alex? Man, just trying to be out there expressing himself, just trying to be his true self, his true identity. Shit, man. Fucking 2 weekends a year, he gets to go out there and just let it fly. Come on.
Supposedly, I hear that's what they do, so... I don't know.
I think they do these things, but the question is why?
And these power brokers, which bomb innocent countries and slaughter people and, you know, pump the food chain full of garbage and just everything else they do, it's probably something fun for them. They really get off on being bad little boys.
And rule the world. I mean, this is, for some people, this is the secret room.
Well, I mean, certainly in the whole class system, it's the pleasures of class. And now what class is, the power that you have is something different. And to me, I mean, from my research of Bohemian Grove, and you guys have obviously done more, I've read a lot of mainstream articles, alternative, talked to people, talked to some guests. It's really where people go in there to do whatever they want to do. So there's probably people sitting around fishing and probably people sitting around doing something completely different.
Okay, there's the stage. Right, that's where the talks happen. Because they've got this amphitheatre, and they have these kind of talks, and this is where George Bush gives talks and people like that on this stage. Oh look, there's...
Guy's voice sounds very familiar. This British dude. He sounds like a slightly more effeminate, like what's his name? Nick Broomfield, the guy that made Kurt and Courtney, or the documentary about Elaine Wuornos, you know, what the movie Monster was based on. I have very much that vibe. I wonder, are these guys with the BBC? It would make sense. Alex Jones ain't gonna turn that down, especially back then. And this is nascent stages of Alex Jones. This is before he becomes nationally syndicated. He was like an Austin dude. Guy grinded, you know. He started on public access, taking weird callers, carving pumpkins. Good times. That would actually be interesting. Go back and see if we could find some of the public access Alex Jones at some point.
There's the lake. There you go. Lakeside Talks. There's the lake. There's the shrine. See? Right there. That's where.
Honey, come get a shot of this. Now, where's this river? This is near the Russian River.
Can you see it?
Now, see, here's the shrine of their devil owl, which they even admit has its roots in like Babylon and the Druids had them and everything else. So all over the world, this weird owl shows up. Some cultures, they've thrown children inside the bowels of this burning owl. That's historical. We've all read in the Bible about throwing your children to idols inside their, you know. So it's weird behavior, definitely. So it needs to be investigated. And plus, it gets the adrenaline up. Thrill seekers have to have more. But here you go, honey. Right here, the shrine. You can zoom in on that, Mike. I'm saying honey to my girlfriend Violet, not Mike here.
Her name's not Violet.
We're getting real bohemian now, aren't we? This is honey. We get a close shot right here. But it did sound like that she's definitely leftward leaning. Then we get into the whole semantical debate about is there a left and a right, and to me there really isn't. There's the command and control on one end and anarchy on the other, and I want to be on the middle of the real spectrum. Certainly got to have some control in a complex society and civilization, but all the developments I see are pretty bad towards dehumanization. And now you got the UN demanding everybody sign on to this International Criminal Court. And they're telling the U.S. if we don't sign on, it won't matter. If 60 countries ratify, we'll be under its control. I mean, we're here. We're at global government now. When they're saying they're going to have some world court in the Netherlands that they'll take anybody they want to. These are in fact, I was reading some of the talks that they've given and they've released that the Bohemian Grove has discussed, and it's all population control, world courts. You're talking 20 years ago. So definitely some stuff going on here that's pretty important.
Which, in a weird way, You could say the United Nations is definitely the precursor to that, because it's this voluntary kind of group where they go and they like, you know, try to like balance out global power, right? But it's really just, you know, but it has kind of the trappings of what he's talking about. And like, and while not everything, it's not that extreme yet, I suppose. You can see it now, right? Like you can see it 20 years on. These kind of weird inferences about who is in control and who makes the decisions for what, especially when it comes to kind of our foreign policy, even our domestic policy. You know, especially when it comes to China. You have things like, you know, the CCP having its agents out on like social media platforms like Twitter, like promoting the idea that America is deeply racist and deeply problematic, and the police and yada yada yada. They just grab onto whatever zeitgeist is happening in the United States on the kind of more progressive or fringe groups, and they just try to push it out there like this is what's happening there. So like I said, sometimes insightful.
But is it the ultimate elitist retreat? I would imagine those we don't even know the names of. This is probably just one more steering committee where they bring in a lot of underlings and high-level corporate chieftains that really aren't the upper top echelon, make them feel important, and then implement some type of strategy. From the stories I've read and things that happen, I mean, it is pretty well documented that people run around naked. They have orgies. They go into town and have orgies, and these are world leaders. We've got a serious problem with that. Just by the very nature of how this, to me, Bohemian Grove is probably a way to compromise people. You want to be in the New World Order Club. It's like a big kid fraternity. And just
oh my God, I nailed it, boys. I nailed it. I have not seen this in 17 years. And I nailed it. Me and Alex Jones, we're like this, simpatico right now. On the same wavelength.
Just like in fraternities, you have to do weird things. Here, you probably do weird things. But I got a problem with governors and presidents and prime ministers and corporate chieftains running around and doing this when they have so much power over what happens in the public domain. They have a responsibility to disclose what they're doing. So I think it is important, like you were saying, to somehow try to maintain some security and not be way out in the open, because they'll call in a bunch of security. I hear
like he often is.
I hear he really enjoys himself here.
I think Henry Kissinger will be here.
Yeah. Well, if I got a stink detector, we'll be able to find out where he's at. Oh, it's like everything evil you can imagine, Kissinger's always involved in it.
Isn't he a Republican, though?
I'm not a Republican. That's the point I keep making. This whole Democrat-Republican deal is a complete... People always go back to that, though. Probably like in your country, you've got Labor and you've got the Tories over there, and it's all the same people behind closed doors. It's just a big joke. And your leadership, our leadership, it's all the same people. I mean, you do see a fight going on, but it's two different management teams of the same system, bidding for control. What I call the CEO jobs of Slavery Incorporated.
Slavery Incorporated, you say?
Do you worry for Alex, Violet?
Agreed.
I do. I just, because Alex gets so impassioned by what he's doing that sometimes I'm afraid that he might be a little bit, reckless or maybe a little bit too fearless. I worry about Alex when he drives down the street to come home. Especially I used to worry about him when he had come home every night from the same, radio studio at the same time in the same car. And, I worry about him sometimes when he's late getting back in the studio and he doesn't give me a call. I mean, he is putting himself out there, but I think the fact that he's in the public eye as much as he is really, keeps him safe to a certain degree. So maybe something like this is, people might not necessarily know where he is right now, people that listen to the radio or whatever. So it's maybe a little bit more risky, and it's a little creepy at night up here in the woods,
And you're definitely not dangerous. You're not going to do anything stupid this weekend.
Well, dangerous to what? Dangerous to myself? Are these people dangerous? They certainly may be, but I'm completely nonviolent when it comes to just going out there and trying to get the information. That's what I'm trying to do. I mean, I'm an activist first and foremost, but also a journalist in that I'll make some...
Oh, so it all starts with Alex Jones, the blurring of the line between journalists and activists. Also, if this was 2020 Alex Jones, 2021 Alex Jones, he'd be like, yo, no, of course I would never be violent or whatever. I mean, I could if I wanted to. I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I'd fucking beat their asses. Prophets, imagine how proud those Haitian parents are that their very own children were groomed, molested, and eaten by Hillary Clinton. Yeah, actually, that is a fucking really creepy thing that is known to the general public. Again, and nobody seems to give a fuck. Like, they cannot, there's a cognitive dissonance. People just cannot believe. And I think that's like a consequence of celebrity culture. They're just like, no, that person wouldn't be like that. Like, of course, there's something different, the reasonable answer. I don't know, maybe that's just me.
Jokes and speculate occasionally because I'm a radio talk show host. But when I say something that I believe, I have to be on target about it. But dangerous, I'm definitely dangerous to corrupt bureaucrats and their financial bosses that would like to control the American people on the planet.
But not in a violent way.
Not in a violent way. And long before global government came out in the open, in the last 4 or 5 years, they were conditioning the public that anyone that talks about global government is a kook, a weirdo, a terrorist, a racist. And now they're out on the nightly news saying global government's here, you better accept it, we're getting rid of juries all across the planet. The IMF, the World Bank, basically runs things now. The WTO decides what you can buy and sell and trade on the international market. But see, they've preconditioned us that it doesn't exist. They've preconditioned us that anybody that talks about this stuff and who is against it is a kook or a racist because it doesn't exist. And then everybody's decided, well, I'm going to be culturally cool. I want to be in style. I want to be accepted. So even when they're hearing the news admit it and tell us how great it is, they've already pre-positioned it psychologically that it's not acceptable, it's not kosher to discuss it. Do you see the tactic they're using there? Mm-hmm. 5 years ago, I would laugh when I heard about black helicopters. I would say, I'm about taxes, I'm about corruption, I'm about, getting local control back, I'm about states' rights, everything's coming under federal control. I was pretty mainstream, what you'd call so-called conservative. Then I saw the light when black helicopters started going into North Carolina. I started going into Florida. They fired into an all-night restaurant in Miami, just training, firing bullets into a place where people were eating. They started burning buildings. Police chiefs started throwing them out of their town, San Antonio. All this started happening, and I said, whoa, this is real. And then I realized that I was preconditioned, even as a so-called conservative person who understood that the media lied. I didn't realize how thick the propaganda was. That they preconditioned us before they release something on us, that it, number one, doesn't exist in our minds with classic doublethink, but then it can re-exist at the same time if they say it does and it's good. So it's literally George Orwell's doublethink. And one has to have it to stay sane in this world. Well, I refuse to be a part of it. I mean, the news every day, black helicopters are a joke, they're stupid, the culture, commercials, movies. At the same time, almost every month in this country, they're attacking and terrorizing some town with burning buildings and terror. And I don't want to be part of their sick control freak system. I don't like these degenerate, inbred, New World Order crowd people. They're not going to run my life. They're not going to control me. And I'm going to try to expose them. And I think we've had some success doing that.
Oh, look how pretty it is.
Uh-huh, sure is pretty.
Mike, you enjoying yourself?
A lot less spooky during the daytime.
It's all foggy. Now we're going to take our British friends down into the forest a little bit later tonight. Let them gallivant in the werewolf-ridden woods. Joking, of course.
So apparently he was supposed to go in with another activist journalist, and the other guy just walked into Bohemian Grove. Like, he had talked to Alex and says, no, just come in, act like you're supposed to be there, be confident, and just walk in. Alex Jones did not do that. The other guy got in by doing that. Alex Jones did not do that. I think it was another British dude too, yeah.
They'll have me on there. Alex Jones, radio talk show host, believes werewolves infest Northern California. They've been seen dancing with grizzly bears. Small pixies have been even witnessed playing violins for George Bush. Don't know what to make of what's going to happen. I can't even begin to imagine what we're going to discover. when I infiltrate tomorrow and try to get the cremation of care. We're very close to the gateway to Bohemian Grove now. The first set of gates and security.
Beautiful part of the country,
They
though.
have a small guard check at the front, and then they have a larger second one. Not a through road. Get a shot of that. There's a guard gate right over it, a small guard gate, and then back further, an even more elaborate guard gate with surveillance cameras, you name it. Not a through road, ladies and gentlemen, right up here in Northern California. How you doing, sir? Okay. Camp Meeker? Yeah. Oh, I'm Alex Jones. I make documentaries. I'm just curious, what do you think about Bohemian Grove?
I used to work there.
You used to work there?
Yeah.
And now you work at Camp Meeker?
No, I don't work. Yeah, I live in Camp Meeker.
Oh, you live there?
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Did you ever watch the cremation of care?
No. No.
What'd you do at the...
I just worked there.
But, I mean,
Yeah.
you never saw him march around in the red robes? And
No, no.
Oh, really? That doesn't go on?
But yeah, I get it.
Okay.
You gotta go take a dump, man. Like, why would you care? What the fuck would you... Why would you care? Unless they sign some sort of NDA. Maybe that could be a possibility, actually.
What have you guys heard about Bohemian Grove?
Oh, I don't know. Bunch of rich people, right?
Have you ever heard about the 40-foot stone owl and the mock human sacrifice?
I heard about it a little bit, yeah.
Roll that window down.
Not
We're going
yet.
to talk to you. Hold on. We'll go around here.
I don't know. Oh, yeah?
So what have you heard about the...
Oh, I just read stuff about it in the paper.
Like, this kind of stuff, it's like watching the Blair Witch Project. It has that kind of quality to it, which, in a weird way, like, it's like the Blair Witch Project, like, primed me for this stuff. Like, because and I still like the Blair Witch Project. But, like, the kind of the documentarian style of what we're watching is very similar to that. Like, at least in this moment, right? So I can imagine, like, being a 19-year-old. Blair Witch Project came out in 1999. Like, 5 or 6 years later, like, my lizard brain, the primal part of me being like, oh, yeah, I recognize this form, this style.
Paper, I don't know. Some people don't like it. They protested or something weird.
But what about the 40-foot stone owl and the mock human sacrifice? You say you heard something about that?
Well, just what I read about in the paper.
Oh, the paper admitted that?
Well, no, I don't know if they admitted it. They just said people go protest it. It supposedly happens. Sounds kind of weird.
Does sound weird to me.
Yeah. Why you guys? What are you guys doing? This TV show or something?
We're just having fun.
Oh yeah.
This town isn't like Children of the Corn or anything, is it?
Oh no, nothing like that. I'm sure. I don't know though. Supposedly lots of people go there. Some kind of weird event. I don't know. You guys know anything about it? You don't know.
What would you say if we told you that they sacrificed a human in effigy and mock to a 40-foot stone owl in black and red and silver cloaks?
Sounds kind of different.
Do you think it's good to have?
Bull talks down.
Do you think it's good to have so-called world leaders secretly engaging in pagan activities?
I can't say it's that great. No.
Why would you have a problem with that?
Well, I don't know. It could be all right. Depends how you look at it.
Kind of relativist worldview, huh?
Yeah.
Got to sacrifice care to the winds, huh?
I don't know. Could just be for fun, or they could really be weird.
They run around naked. Run around naked and freak out. There you go.
Have you heard that?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, to tell you the truth, here's a funny story.
What have you heard? Okay, go ahead.
No, this is the truth. A couple years ago, I was down the road, just down Yar, past Camp Meeker, and I was stopped with a friend of mine.
Now, Camp Meeker's right outside Bohemian Grove.
That's an affirmative.
Yes.
And we were down the road, and we were stopped there because we were just having a cigarette, hanging out, taking a break, and some Secret Service men actually pulled up behind us and asked us what we were doing and why we were there. It was true. They were like, "What are you guys doing? Where are you at? Why are you parked here? What's going on?" And asked us a whole bunch of questions. What our names were, who we were affiliated with, where we lived.
Yeah, so if we take this guy at face value, you know, it's weird because it acknowledges and admits the idea that there are very powerful people inside of there. You know, if the Secret Service is running security for this frat hangout,
all kinds of stuff. Sort of interrogated us.
Did you answer their questions?
Totally.
I don't know. We always hear there's like big, fat, rich guys with prostitutes there.
Really?
Yeah.
What about the owl and the rituals?
I don't know anything about it.
Never heard about the rituals?
Rituals.
Ritual killing of a human sacrifice of a human?
Nope. Never heard of it.
What would you think if that was going on?
I think it's pretty weird. Wouldn't be that surprised. I mean, it is our government after all.
The perfect mark for Alex Jones.
Hey, thanks for talking to us, bud.
Yeah.
Hey, I like your shirt. Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
All right, man. Take care.
All right.
We're talking about the Bohemian Grove and trying to see what locals think about it. And how it's all secret and all these fat cats there and the supposed strange rituals that go on. Are you a local?
No, but she is.
What do you think about the Bohemian Grove?
It offers a lot of employment.
Offers a lot of employment?
What's going on there? What kind of rituals do they do there?
I don't know. We're talking to locals about what the rumors are.
What are the rumors?
About a big 40-foot stone owl and simulated human sacrifice.
Oh, no. Oh, I don't know about that, but it's politicians that come, that vacation there. And
it'd be really weird if politicians were acting like they were sacrificing people, wouldn't it?
No, you can't trust politicians, you know.
Oh, really? They might be doing it, huh?
They might, yeah.
It's like, yeah, sure, why not?
Politicians, you know.
I hear you, bud. Hey, good talking to you.
Right.
Appreciate it. You guys take care.
Good luck.
Hey, those are some pretty flowers.
Yeah, it's the sweet peas.
Those are real, folks.
Yeah, they're real.
You guys have a good one.
You
Enjoy
too.
the weather.
Bye.
Yeah? Yeah.
This area is in
Hand of the people.
Yeah, we are.
It's in big trouble.
No, this is a wonderful area of the country. We're just asking locals what they think of the Bohemian Grove.
The Bohemian Grove is a wonderful place.
Have you been there?
Yeah, I've been in there a bunch of times.
What'd you do, work there? Or
Worked there, yeah. Yeah. You know when it's the most wonderfulest time? Is when nobody's there.
Oh, it's a beautiful area?
Yeah, yeah, very beautiful. It's got big trees.
Have you ever been there for the cremation of care?
No.
So you've never been there for the rituals?
No.
You ever heard about them?
Yes.
What have you heard they do, sir?
Nothing. They got that tree that looks like an owl.
Tree that looks like an owl?
Tree or rock, or it's a carving, or it's where the stage is.
But have you heard what they do during that?
No, I have no idea what they do during
What would you
that.
say if we told you they burn a human being in effigy? They don't really do it. They burn it in effigy.
I don't know what that means.
Well, they have like a dummy that looks like a person under a black blanket. They take it up there and burn it.
Oh, I don't know.
Pretty weird.
Huh?
Pretty weird.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
How long you lived around here?
I don't know. How old am I?
20,
40 years?
Yeah. Really? Oh, your whole life?
Yes.
What's your name, sir?
My name is Raul.
Like, he's talking to people that like work there and are from there, and he's just like trying to like plant seeds, trying to like kind of plant, like, you know, so that they lead them into a conclusion, the way he's asking questions and whatnot.
How long has Vital Roots been here?
Couple years.
Yeah.
The Bohemian Grove?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of politicians, a lot of big wigs, making a lot of big decisions.
Oh, really? Do you think it's good that they get together in secret and make all these so-called decisions?
Do I think it's good?
Yeah.
No, of course not. Do you?
What about the rituals? Have you heard anything about the rituals that go on?
Oh. there's all kinds of rumors about rituals that go on there.
What type of rumors have you heard?
Don't make me go there.
Please, come on, we're trying to talk to some locals. I'm just wondering. It's interesting.
Well, I really don't know that much about it. You know, just what I've read in books. There's books out about it.
Oh, you've read books on it, huh?
I had a book that was published in 1956 that was written about some of the rituals.
Because now it's been going on for 120 plus years.
Yeah.
I think they said they just had their 120th something anniversary.
Yeah.
What would you say if I told you that there's a 40-foot stone owl and that they burn a human being in effigy, not in real life, but in effigy?
I wouldn't believe it.
You wouldn't believe it?
Nah, I think it's a bunch of garbage.
So you doubt there's a stone owl, and you doubt that they...
Well, I wouldn't doubt there's a stone owl. Maybe there's a stone owl, but I wouldn't think that that's kind of, you know, rumors just, it's rumors, you know, what the word implies, pretty much.
Just a conspiracy.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of hearsay.
Pure conspiracy theory.
Whatever.
What have you heard about the Bohemian Grove?
It's where all of the, like, FBI and you're talking about the Bohemian Grove. Yeah, it's like the quote-unquote elite and presidential retreat.
Have you heard about the rituals that go on there?
No, I haven't. Well, the people who have more money than the rest of us in the world are a bit different. They're stingy. They want to hoard it all for themselves. And they think they're going to go to heaven. They're not.
What a weird take. What a weird take this guy has. He's like, they're different from us and they're stingy.
Because they don't know how to provide or do as Jesus told them to.
What would you say if I told you that they sacrifice a human in effigy before a giant 45 to 50-foot stone owl?
I would say that's probably why they're going to hell.
Yeah, this Australian we met yesterday, he's been here for 3 years, and he says that about 2-3 months ago, the whole place was saturated with men in black, FBI, Secret Service and everything, going up and down the roads, checking everything, checking houses, everything from bombs and stuff, and then they all disappeared, and they were looking out for undesirables in the area who were persuaded to go. That was his story.
And now we're going to
talk to him.
And now we're going to infiltrate.
I think we should go and see what we can see.
The public has a right to know.
They do.
The public may have a right to know, but the people in this cafe, I think, shouldn't know.
I agree.
Well, you've got to go in up the road that says no.
I think this guy is like the voice of BBC. This guy. Maybe this is like where he got his start, like doing these documentaries and stuff, because that voice is very fucking familiar. I've heard him narrate other things. It's gonna bother me.
Through road, because we've got to sit in the car and get a shot of you going up the road. So you've got to go in. You've got to be the guinea pig. But you're a brave man, Alex, aren't you?
No problem, yeah.
So that's cool. I wouldn't ask a man who wasn't as brave as you.
All right, it's no big deal. I'm just gonna go in and.
Does he though? Do you think he does? That might be a lot for him. Prophet. The BBC, no joke. You know, I've seen videos, video evidence, no joke.
Make sure everything goes good. My only concern is figuring out the right type of baggage to carry this in, also still shot camera.
Well, I personally would recommend that you wire yourself up with your what's it called?
Hidden camera.
Yeah, your hidden camera that's in the shape of a pager.
Problem is, we got some stuff on it last night. We checked it out, but it's very unwieldy, not trustworthy.
Right.
If I can just get in the woods with this, it's over.
That's true.
And even if I'm going early now. I'm probably going about 3:30 with Mike, and we'll just hang out inside in case they throw me out. I'm still getting back in the property.
Oh, so you're gonna go in.
Elasticity is key. Yes. Assholes, vaginas, everything kind of conforms. But Nothing. I got nothing else.
Way before Rick gets here.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Well, cool. Well, we'll just sit in the car.
But I mean, you understand why? Not because I want to hang out in there all day. It's because I've got to get in. Because if they catch me, then I'm going to got to sneak back in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I will not be stopped.
You know, I went with Big Jim Tucker from the Spotlight to a Bilderberg meeting last year. But that was my first time, and we got chased away by men in dark glasses, and you know, I was a bit scared then. But I feel safe with you, Alex.
Well, Tucker's a good rider.
Oh yeah, I like Tucker.
It was the night of July 15th, 2000. Mike Hansen
He was
and
with
I
Big
were
Jim.
about to attempt the first ever successful infiltration of the Bohemian Grove. Others have tried and failed. No one has ever actually made it in and out with video evidence. After careful planning, we decided the best tactic would be to insert ourselves about a half mile from the main entrance into the heavily wooded area, entering the gorge by stealth and getting into the main parking area. From there, we posed as Bohemian Club members, thus entering the inner sanctums of the New World Order.
And this is where a lot of people call bullshit on Alex Jones. Like, if you're talking about, like, oh, the most powerful people in the world, CIA, FBI, you know, like we've heard from the people that live in the area. Like, how the fuck do you just, like, walk in through the woods? How the fuck did that happen? See, he was with Big Jim and his Big Jimmy. That's probably, yeah. I mean, that's accurate. But it doesn't mean it's the BBC. That's a whole nother conversation. Jimmy was definitely some sort of fae. Maybe he had a feminine peen. That's what they call it technically in the doctor community. The feminine peen.
That's perfect. Just like that. No, I got it, honey. Okay, here we go. That's good. Yeah, that's good.
You're basically watching the future of Zoobox. Like when I lose my mind and I make my wife like come with me with a high 8 tape, and we go out, we try to find secret societies in our little neighborhood.
You be careful, baby.
Okay.
I don't want you to go anywhere.
I'll be safe. Don't worry about it, guys. Come on.
Can you imagine? Can you even imagine the sex he had after doing this with Violet? Can you even imagine? Can you even imagine how fucking deep he plunged? How fucking much his dick was sucked after this? She was just so happy to see him alive. She's obviously enamored with him. She obviously is. Some great sex after Bohemian Grove. Bohemian Grove getting everybody laid.
Be careful, Mike. God bless.
Yeah, pray for us. Keep the evil off of us.
Pray for us, bitch.
Yeah, let go.
Guys, really, like, what, like, come on, you're making a documentary. Like, you don't need to add this stuff. You don't need to add the walking stuff. Like, cut to Jones talking or whatever. I don't need all this. Come on now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, granted, they're like, yo, this is what it was like. We're going to take you moment to moment. Sneaking into Bohemian Grove. You know, maybe, like, I'm a big believer in, like, a product, and then you put out all the raw stuff after the fact. I'm a big believer in that.
Yeah.
How much did the road cost?
This thing?
No, the rope.
The rope.
The road. The rope.
rope.
That you
Oh,
watched?
that.
Oh, rope.
Oh, rope. It was 88. Yeah, I thought you said rope.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought rope and rope. Can't hear anything with this wind. And look at this thing. Seen some years. Pretty nice, actually.
Yeah.
This is the oldest one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Other than maybe that little red one. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
I think when you go to heaven, they have buses like this there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Oh, no, go ahead.
Let's see, we got one out here.
Yeah, is there another one coming?
No punch clock.
Oh, good.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
See you. Your brother, your father visited and all? Yeah, yeah.
So that Marty thing was like.
We don't have time in the documentary to show you an entire tour of the 2,700-acre compound in the middle of the gorge. Besides the fact we didn't even have time to see but about 20% of it in between dodging security personnel. Unfortunately, we were using digital tapes that were 1 hour. Several of the confrontations were not caught on tape. We had sheriff's deputies, Secret Service, you name it, question us on who we were. We just told them we were with the hillbillies. That's where the Bushes stay. You know, because we've got Texas accents.
Yeah, no, like, close back in the corner right over there.
Oh, there they are.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Good.
Oh, this feels good. Oh.
Vantage you're witnessing is basically the vantage that we shot the ceremony from at night. This is America, and it's been going on for 120 plus years in Northern California. This is not some new fad. We're talking about something deadly serious with its roots in ancient history.
Yeah, that's, we may have to...
A thirsty man. Look
Excuse
I'm sorry. Quiet.
It's like you see all this stuff, like, you know, kind of out of context, don't really know who these people are, what's going on. But there are, like what you said, there were 2,000 people that, like, come to this thing. Maybe kind of in and out over the 3 weekends that this takes place. Because I'm not seeing any gay prostitutes getting fucked. And that's a big letdown. That's a big letdown. You know, when we expose the elites, we got to see it, you know? We got to see the action.
Reagan was a turning point for us. Didn't realize at the time there was. And
anytime I shoot.
Turning point for us.
Oh, really?
So many liberal Democrats in their time to turn things around.
Morning.
It was all live?
Was it right?
No.
It's probably as accurate as you know.
Yeah.
We had already been questioned 3 separate times by the Bohemian Club security, Secret Service, and Sonoma County Sheriff's Department. To evade discovery, we decided to try for one of the more remote areas of the camp, according to our map, the most southerly side, and a lookout point, an observation deck over the Russian River. While Mike Hansen was watching for the sheriff's deputies that were down the path and over the bridge in a guard shack, I began to shoot the video you just witnessed. After we turned the camera off, one of the Sonoma County Sheriff's deputies showed up and began asking us why we were filming. We calmly told him we were just sightseeing as members of the Bohemian Club. The point that has to be made here, though, is they do have hidden cameras, because there's no way that they would have been able to witness us videotaping from where the guard shack was located. And then upon walking back by the guard shack, we actually witnessed banks of television screens and wires leading up into the redwoods and disappearing. Also visible from the observation deck is the famous sunning area for the establishment lackeys and their pomps. Here you can see
just one
some of the
shitty,
fine carpeting
like,
out on the floaty. The long history of men enjoying themselves has even been written about in the gossip column of the San Francisco Chronicle, writing that a man on his own often gets invited back to the camp by gay bohemians.
ice cream, economy.
Even
I'm
100-year-old
rich.
annals have admitted the homosexual activities.
Good night, buddy.
After escaping the sheriff's department, Mike and I traveled high into the hills to wait until dark and the beginning of the cremation of care ceremony. Before the cremation of care, all the Bohemian Club members begin a massive feast of revelry.
He's so pissed off at
Things are really
The
heating
occult
up.
activities are coming up. And then after the actual ritual, we're going to give you some more of the history surrounding it. But first off, I wanted to draw your attention to the program that was given out to the spectators or the viewers. I guess an occultist would call them novices, who actually watched as the priest and their supporters engaged in this ancient rite. Now, you're looking at a little demon called PJ that was on the front of the actual program. It's kind of an Hieronymus Bosch style. He's got a little broom and a dustpan, and he's sweeping something up. Now, even more shocking is the figure of a human body burning in the flames. In fact, I've shown it to people that are experts in anatomy, to actual doctors, and they say that the anatomical size is that of a baby or small child. Notice how large the cranium is in comparison to the torso, that is the ribs. Understand, ladies and gentlemen, this is from the program itself given out to the establishment lackeys witnessing these sinister activities. Remember, in Babylon and Tyre, they would throw their children into fiery pits. Look at the size of the hands compared to the rest of the body. Only children show these anatomical details. Now, of course, it's been airbrushed in, but it shows the psychology. Now, this is the only skull we actually caught on tape. We've blown it up for you over one of the major meeting houses. Of course, it's not a real skull. It was extremely oversized up on the signage. The point we're trying to make here is the entire compound was literally infested with symbols of death, skulls, owls. At long last, here it is, the cremation of care unveiled.
Should have just skipped to this, honestly.
Let me get you a coat. See it. Just want to keep it covered up.
As we sat there in the darkness, not knowing what we were about to see in the gathering crowd, suddenly, across the small lake, we saw a carriage with men in black and brown cloaks, robes, in front and in back, bearing a bound body. Remember, it was a hidden camera and at somewhat of an angle. Something particularly pleasing was happening for the Bohemian Grovers with whatever developed with that crowd of men in black and brown and the bound body on the back of the buggy. They drove behind big black tarps they had hanging out of the trees. There was lots of smacking on lips of and bizarre enjoyment by the crowd. We still haven't made out exactly what was going on, but that a real sacrifice may have actually been developing according to some occult experts. All the time in the darkness across the small lake, the men in black were doing something behind the dark curtains hanging from the redwood trees. Then after about 10 more minutes of music, suddenly all around the owl, activity began. Here is the main central part of the ritual.
The owl is in his leafy temple. Let all within the grove be reverent before him. Lift up your heads, O ye trees, and be ye lifted up, ye everlasting spires. For behold, here is Bohemian shrine, and holy are the pillars of this house. Breathing spiders, come not near. Hail, Bohemians, with the ripple of waters, song of birds, such music as inspires the sinking soul, do we invite you into midsummer's joy. The sky above is blue, sown with stars. The forest floor is heaped with fragrant drift. Evening's cool kiss is yours. The campfires glow. The birth of rosy fingered dawn. Shake off your sorrows with the city's dust and cast to the the winds, the cares of life. Let memory bring back the well-loved names of gallant friends who knew and loved this grove. Dear boon companions of the long ago. Aye, let them join us in this rhythm. Not a place be empty in our midst. Oh, beauty's vassals, who hold in this gray autumn of the world her springtime in your heart, attend our tale. Gather, ye forest folk, and cast your spell over these mortals. Touch their world-blind eyes with fairy unction. Open their eyes of fancy. Blow all the memories of yesterday and seal the gates of sorrow. It is a dream, and yet not all a dream. Dull care and all of his words are but a dream. As vanished Babylon and goodly Tyre, so shall they also vanish. But the wilding rose blows on the broken battlements of Tyre, and walks rend the stones of Babylon. For beauty is eternal, and we bow to beauty everlasting. For lasting happiness, return to one alone, and she surrounds you now. Great nature, refuge of the weary heart, and only balm for breasts that have been bruised. Ye have cool hands for every favored brow, and gentlest silence for the troubled soul. The counsels are most wise. She healeth well, having such ministries as calm and sleep. She is ever faithful. Other friends may fail, but seek ye her in any quiet place. Smiling, she will rise and give to you her kiss. So must ye come as children. Little children that believe nor ever doubt her beauty and her faith, nor deem her tenderness can change or die. Bohemians and priests, the desperate call of heavy hearts is answered by the power of your fellowship. Dull care is slain. His body has been brought yonder from the funeral pyre to the joyous pipings of a funeral march. Our funeral pyre awaits the corpse of care.
There we go.
Here you have the boatman, his face is painted up like a skull, bringing the bound body across the water. Again, we'll have enhanced video of this later. And let's see if you can pick up all of the different occultic meanings in the speeches you're about to hear.
Let's see if you can figure it out, huh?
Across the shadowy tide, and all the ancient majesty of death. Dull care, arch enemy of beauty. Not for thee the tender tribute or the restful strain. Fire shall have its will of thee, and all the winds make merry with thy dust. Bring fire!
Yeah.
When will ye learn that me ye cannot slay? Year after year ye burn me in this grove, lifting your puny shouts of triumph to the stars. But when again ye turn your faces to the marketplace, do ye not find me waiting as of old? Fools to dream ye conquer care.
Nay, thou mocking spirit, it is not all a dream. We know thou waitest for us when this our sylvan holiday has ended. We shall meet thee and fight thee as of old, and some of us prevail against thee, and some thou shalt destroy. But this too we know. Year after year within this happy grove, our fellowship bans thee for a space. And thy malevolence which would pursue us here has lost its power under these friendly trees. So shall we burn thee once again this night, and in the flames that eat thine effigy, we shall read the sign, Midsummer sets us free.
Ye shall burn me once again. Now but these flames, which hither ye have brought from regions where I reign, ye fools and priests, I spit upon your fire.
I guess the real question is, do you think like pageantry makes this inconsequential? The fact that it's like kind of like dumb, does that make it inconsequential, you know?
Prince of all mortal wisdom, thou of Bohemia, we beseech thee, grant us thy counsel.
Because it still represents something. Like the pageantry has like a meaning. You know? You know what I mean?
Is nourished on the hates of men and drive him from this one flame alone must light this fire.
Set that shit on fire. Do it now. I'm tired.
Begone, dull care. Fire shall have its will of thee. Begone, dull care. And all the winds make merry with thy dust.
It's like all your cares, your life, everything, you know? It's just something that, like, everybody feels. Everybody feels like this. We take inventory of our existence. We juxtapose it with what we had before. Everybody does this. But to make it a ceremonial thing, to make it officialize it, is creepy. It's weird. Like, you know, like coming back to this after so many years. I literally have not watched this in 15, 16 years. 15, 16 years probably, yeah. And, like, it's corny. Like, and I understand that it's corny, but, like, the symbolic meaning towards it and, like, what it gestures towards and what it actually represents is the problem. Yeah, oh, you got a bunch of boomers that like old stupid shit? Oh, no, crazy, fucking wild shit. You know, me and you, we sit here, we'd laugh at this stuff. We'd be like, okay, whatever. Whatever, it's stupid, silly. And a lot of things are stupid and silly to a lot of people. Doesn't change what it means to the ones that actually give a fuck. Doesn't change that.
Hail, fellowship's eternal flame. Once again, midsummer sets us free.
Oh my god. The fireworks. The sizzler.
Now we're going to get to some enhanced video, and we'll go play-by-play through some of the more occultic statements, like we shall read the sign in your burned effigy, the bound body. That's exactly what the Druids actually did. They would roast cats, goats, oxen, horses, and watch the pain of how they died, and from this extract some type of mystical energy force or power, and also be able to tell the future.
Owl of Bohemia, we beseech thee, grant us thy counsel.
Upon further research of the ritual you've just witnessed, it becomes clear. It is a mixture of the Babylonian Canaanite cult of Moloch fused with ancient Druidic rites, where you have the female side of Satan, which they first call out to in the she, and then towards the horn god with the he, mixed with Masonic rites from Scotland. It's very likely that many of the 1,500 to 2,000 member crowd had really no idea what they were actually watching because it was thinly veiled. Here we have some more enhanced video as the boatman, again with his face painted up like a skull, pulls his boat across the small lake towards the high priest with the red of his cloak visible, with his hand outstretched as if he is pulling the damned soul towards him as they throw off their cares, their conscience for what they have to do in the world. Also, you have the arrangement of the circle of higher...
You know, you have your Alex Jones kind of hyperbole, affectation, but that is what it represents, literally. A lot of people might see that as oh, that's just for the weekend. We're killing our cares and our inhibitions for this weekend, for this party. And I suppose that's probably an okay way to look at it if you wanted to. But you got to think about who is there, who's in the crowd. Who are these people? Who the fuck are these people? What the fuck are they doing? Boy Scouts tries to initiate this kind of same type of weird shit, esoteric stuff. And this is the adult version of it. I understand that. But it doesn't mean it's not meaningful or creepy in some sort of abstract way. It's a mindset thing, right? That's how I feel.
Level priest around him, the high priest in lighter colors, and then the outer rings of red, and then those in black. This is consistent with the darker workings of the occult, not just with the Western countries, but also worldwide. Now, when you see that black edge coming to the field, that's because we zoomed in on the video, and many times the picture was almost out of the screen, so that's the edge of the field or the view of the camera. We'll get back to more enhanced video of the ritual here in just a minute. But remember PJ, the little demon down in the corner, the left-hand corner of the program, sweeping up the ashes with little horns? And how can you forget this? The image of a human body burning on the altar. Again, this is what they were handing out to those that were witnessing these macabre activities. But again, from Babylon on into ancient England, the word bonfire, meaning human sacrifices being thrown into fiery pits, turned into today's bonfire. After the sacrifice, members of the cult would sweep up the ashes of the victim and use them in future rituals. One of the things that is extremely obvious by looking at the program handed out to Bohemian Club members is the person creating the program had a deep understanding of the occult.
Yeah, and another kind of thought about the formality, the pageantry. This is what they say about all of these kinds of occult things. Like, it is a pageantry. It is kind of out in the open. It's kind of they want to normalize it. You can watch things that kind of deconstruct Super Bowl performances, MTV Music Awards, all that kind of stuff that has references to things that you're just like, that's fucking weird. Like, it doesn't, like, you know, not to be even, like, crazy or conspiratorial, but when you actually see it and somebody points it out to you, you're like, oh, that's definitely strange, right? This is kind of the same thing. The strangeness of it. You're just like, oh, what could it mean? Well, I don't know.
Time malevolence which would pursue us here has lost its power under these friendly trees. So shall we burn thee once again this night, and in the flames that eat thine effigy, we shall read the sign, Midsummer sets us free. Ye shall burn me once again! Not with these flames, which hither ye have brought from regions where I reign. Ye fools and priests, I spit upon your fire.
I think these guys that are watching this are like, you know, like like middle school students that are forced to watch a play. I don't know. Worth thinking about, at least.
Wow. Great son of all mortal wisdom, Owl of Bohemia, we beseech thee, grant us thy counsel. O great Owl of Bohemia, we thank thee for thy adjuration. Begone, dull care. Fire shall have its will of thee. Begone, dull care.
Begone, begone.
Make merry with thy ducks. Hail, fellowship's eternal flame. Once again, midsummer sets us free.
There you see the funeral pyre burning with the effigy of a human. Or it could be real, ladies and gentlemen. There's been a lot of strange going on.
Or it could be real, everybody.
In that area of Northern California. But this is what the establishment is into right here in America. The cremation of care. And this was July 15th, 2000. These people are deadly serious, those taking part in the ceremony. Another point, the pyrotechnics you're seeing going off were being released from beneath little wrought iron crosses about 1.5 feet tall. Also, notice the screams of pain coming from the sacrifice.
Begone, dull care. Fire shall have its will of thee. Begone, dull care. And all the winds make merry with thy ducks. Hail, fellowship's eternal flame. Once again, midsummer sets us free.
One of the facets of the ritual that goes deeply into the occult, again, we've already mentioned the Druids at their bonfires or bonfires throwing bodies into fiery pits after ritually cutting their hearts out or slitting their throats. They talk about reading the sign in the burning effigy, reading the sign. Again, research your history books on the occult, even the Encyclopedia Britannica on what the Druids would engage in. This is just unbelievably macabre and evil.
Unbelievable.
So
Crazy.
shall we burn thee once again this night, and in the flames that eat thine effigy, we shall read the sign.
Well, we're going to confront George Bush on Bohemian Grove. George Bush Jr.
What a cut.
They've been announcing on CNN, MSNBC, on television last night and today. For the first time in history, they're admitting it, why the vice presidential decision was made at Bohemian Grove. George Bush Sr., the former president, and Golden Powell and others. So now they're just throwing it in everybody's face. We've broken the story over a week ago. July 15th, we were in Northern California. They're trying to ignore it. George Bush is down here at the governor's mansion across the street from the Capitol, about to announce Dick Cheney as his vice presidential running mate. We're going to go blow the party for him and get the information out to people. We're not going to stop. We're getting in their face.
I want to make it clear that I'm neither Republican nor Democrat. But the facts speak for itself. George Bush Sr., Jr., even their grandfather, Prescott Bush, were all members of the Bohemian Club. So we dropped by to, well, let them know that we're fully aware of their activities.
This is massive. This is how George Bush dresses up. Right here. We got him on tape. This is how they dress up. Right here. In red and black robes. A little more pointy, though, like the Klan. We've got him on tape. This is how George Bush dresses. Right here when he's in the Bohemian Grove. This is how he dresses. We've already put it on television. Absolutely disgusting. George Bush isn't a conservative.
Maybe one of the like maybe the most insane footage of the entire documentary.
He's not for family values. He is nothing but a Luciferian twit. A Luciferian twit, Bush. You may think you can feed on the human population. We say no to you. We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Long live the Constitution and death to the New World Order. We stand firm. We stand strong for America against your evil, Bush. And we're going to get this story out, and we're going to continue to push it because the truth will not be hidden. That you are part of a 3,000-plus-year-old devil cult for the owl Moloch from Babylon as well as Tyre. We have the high priest admitting all this. We have it on videotape. It is documented. It is documented. A Luciferian devil worshiper. Already people all over Austin are talking about it. We're not afraid of you. We're not afraid of your minions. In fact, we're waking your minions up every day with the hardcore evidence. We know your father met 11 times with Bill Clinton in 91. The whole thing was stage managed. We understand you've been helping to sell this country out, Bush. And we're going to expose you and your Luciferian rights. We have the videotape. This is a massive story. One of the stories of the century. One of the stories of the century. How you had the Luciferian Pope for 121 years in Northern California. I went inside for the cremation of care. I witnessed the entire debacle. Many of these Secret Service agents have been in, no doubt, protecting these people inside of this system.
There had to be, in my belief, an occultist, a deep occultist, who designed each of the elements of this ceremony. It wasn't just a bunch of guys sit together at a bar and said, hey, let's have a good time, the cremation of care, and why don't we do this or that. I believe it was purposely designed, each element in its turn, for what they did. No doubt about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Dark Secrets inside Bohemian Grove. The facts we've shown in this film are absolutely documented. I would only hope that the people of the world realize the organized evil we're dealing with at almost every level. Republican, Democrat, you name it. They're all working on the same team. Ladies and gentlemen, it's called world government, the New World Order, dehumanization. It's not a joke. It's deadly serious. Unfortunately, they've been breeding societies to think everything's a joke. I'm here to tell you truth is stranger than fiction.
Diarrhea. Well, everybody. Well, that's the end of the night. So, kind of underwhelming. You know, I had not watched that in a long, long time. Honestly, I hadn't. What do I think after watching that? I think a lot of people, I do agree with the sense that, like, it's weird, it's a cult, it's the fact that people just go to those things is kind of fucking weird. But is the depths of it what is implied in this documentary? I don't know. I think bad people can be bad people without all this stuff. Shitty people doing shitty things, I suppose. At the end of the day. Alright, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. We're out. Next time we do one, we'll talk about something fun. Or maybe we'll watch Alex Jones's Endgame. Not every episode is going to be what you want it to be. Come on now. Alright, everybody. You have a good night, good day, good whatever. We'll see you next time. Adios.